A lot of Christians are going to hate this, but Jesus had to be married, and he had to be married more than likely to Mary Magdalene. Now I know. The early church fathers wanted to eliminate this idea that Jesus could have been married to Mary Magdalene, and most likely, I don't know for sure, but most likely, their rationale was the fact that if Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene, then there possibly could be children involved, and then that bloodline would be something that was sought after, which is what Charlemagne claimed his bloodline was based on and the Merovingians was based on the fact that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were married, and they are the bloodline because she fled to France, is the way that they told the story. Most likely she fled to Egypt, and there is absolutely no historical data that if she ever existed that she would have fled to France. But this is what they created for themselves, and which is something that the church was definitely afraid of, because somebody claiming the bloodline of Jesus during the entire time that Rome and the Europe had became Christian would give them a higher authority than the church itself and anyone else, any other king or queen or anyone else in that area during those time frames. Now, if you actually read your Bible, then one of the things that you will realize is that in order for a person to be called a rabbi, based on the Old Testament and the New Testament, for a person to be called a rabbi, they have to have one wife. As I explained in another video, 1 Corinthians 14, it talks about a bishop or a priest or deacons having to be a man of one wife. So therefore, they called Jesus rabbi. Rabbi. They called him that plenty of times in the New Testament. And if they called him rabbi, those people of that time frame would not have called him rabbi if he didn't have a wife. And since Mary Magdalene was the primary woman who was everywhere with Jesus, she was most likely that wife. Now, another group that the church had to stamp out was the Gnostics. And the Gnostics absolutely believed that Mary Magdalene was his wife. In the gospel, according to Mary Magdalene, it is claimed that Jesus kissed on her more so than anybody else, and loved her more so than anybody else, and used to kiss her. The part is blank there. It says kiss her on the, and then it's blank. Most likely kissing her on the mouth is what your Jesus was doing. But of course, with Theodosius making Christianity the Orthodox version of Christianity, the only version of Christianity that was allowed in the Roman Empire, and that they went about then murdering all the Coptics and all the Gnostic Christians and Nazarenes and anybody else who didn't go with the Roman version of Christianity. Those people hid their messages, they hid their language, they hid their information. This is why you find the Dead Sea Scrolls of the Nazarene. This is why you find the writings at Nag Hammadi for the Gnostics and the Coptic Christians. Now, since these people were murdered, we don't get to hear their story. We don't get to hear their version of it, because you grow up now, all you hear and all you have heard is the Roman version, the Roman Orthodox version of Christianity that then was splintered into the different versions throughout Protestantism. Because of that, you don't get the whole story. You don't get the fullness of the story. You got to read what the losers wrote and what the losers believed in order for you to truly get the full story of what Christianity was like in the first, second, and third centuries. But you don't have that, and you don't believe that. You just accept the one that you got. But I contend, if you use your logically thinking brain, and I know you're all very intelligent people, if Jesus was called rabbi, and a rabbi had to have a wife, ipso facto, Mary Magdalene was probably Jesus' wife. Y'all have a great day, and remember always, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.